What's up, YouTube? So we're back. We got Elvis over here. Give you a little tour. The clips broke on this. Oh, there's a clip right there. Yeah, they're broke. That cover fell off, and I think they're broke up here, so it won't stay up there. You put screws in, it falls backwards, and then you got your torque converter lock up because it hunting pecks and searches and everything. But this is the best part. Has none of that screwy stuff underneath of it, and they can't find me for deleting it because it never had the screwy stuff underneath of it. So if they're gonna find me for not having a muffler, then they can find me for not having a muffler, right? But I thought about putting a muffler on it because it can get kind of loud. He put soundproofing, sound deadening stuff in the floor when he did the carpet, and they put the 5-inch on it. It needs a tip. Yeah, sounds good. Got a V10 fender. Yeah, so this video, I saw that thing the other day where Ford and GM and the Automotive Association of Dealers or something went to DC to try and get the president to make a legislation to where we can't work on our cars. I can really wander off pretty deep in that because we're in an industry where the manufacturers are trying to get rid of us because we rebuild stuff that people have been using for 60 or 70 years, and they want to keep using it because it's paid for. Rebuilding is less than half the cost of a brand new one. But now the manufacturers are getting to the point, because there's like 3 manufacturers in our industry that do what we work on. One of them isn't really can't really count them. They're a non-issue because nobody really uses their stuff. The other 2 are pretty big, and they're coming out with electronic stuff, and they're discontinuing parts, so we can't get parts to rebuild the stuff that our customers want to rebuild. So automotive, Ford and GM and the Automotive Association of Dealers, I think that's what it was, correct me if I'm wrong, want to make it to where we can't work on our cars. And the way they'll do that is they will probably buy up or force out aftermarket stuff. They'll not sell older stuff. They'll be like, well, we're not selling anything after 5 years. We're not going to sell parts for it, something like that. They'll come up with some corporate craftiness to hose us and make it to where we can't work on our cars. I do like that. I don't watch much of the political news stuff, but it popped up on my feed, and I kind of had to watch. But I like how Trump kind of chuckled and laughed about it, and so that I hope it made the manufacturers feel uneasy that they even brought it up, and now they're on TV stating that they want to do this. I don't know. It's just, it's just kind of slimy. It seems slimy that they're going to take it away, and you can't do that. Like we're all millionaires. I think I watched a video the other day, and it was like, they think millionaires and billionaires are people that are making, really, really good money, lose touch with what it's actually like to be down in the pits, scratching out a living. And we all know that with the economy and the groceries and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to talk about. But first, we're going to talk about Project 2. No engine, no transmission. I bought it for parts. All the trucks I buy lately have a cracked windshield. I don't know what the deal is. This one has a good dash pad in it. The interior is not bad. It's livable. It's workable. I don't need Cadillac or fancy interior. It's got a good radio in it. It's a decent radio. It's Bluetoothable, so you can connect your phone to it and listen to tunes, and then and the seat's comfortable, and you clean it, vacuum it, whatever. It's good. But no engine, no transmission. I bought this for parts to use on Elvis, and a lot of the parts that I needed I can't use on Elvis because they're all so bad on this. The skeleton for the dashboard on this one, where all your stuff hooks into it, a lot of them pieces are broken. I think the glove box is broken on this one too. The actual hinge point on the framework for the dash is broke. The body's pretty straight on it. I mean, it's got a dent here, and there's a couple dents back there in the fender, and I think there's a little one on that side, and then we got a dent in the front here on this fender. I'm not a body man, but that's got stuff behind it. I'm not sure I can get that out. Maybe slide hammer. I don't know. There's something I could play with, but these wheels are going on Elvis. I'm going to take the tires off and put standard 260, 75 20s or 670 20s or something like that on them. The mud tires that are on Elvis are going bye-bye. I don't need them. But I was thinking 12 valve, automatic, manual. Actually, I was thinking 3306 Cat with a 10-speed Eaton. But I'm not sure a 3306 Cat would fit in there. And I have to do some suspension work, some serious suspension work, spring upgrade, stuff like that. Because I'm thinking the 3306 probably falls in the same class as the 8.3 Cummins. So I'm thinking they're probably within the same area. Then you're going to be looking at, radiator, probably modifying the front end here to get the engine to actually fit in it. And I've looked around out here. I don't know, maybe you see it, but I can't find my money tree. If I could find my money tree, the 3306 and the 10-speed Eaton would be a go. Just because, I mean, that would it'd just be so cool. Odd, crazy. Would it be necessary? No, a 3306 is what? An older one is 225, 250 horsepower. So you're adding more weight. The Eaton transmission is more weight. You're going to have more torque, obviously, because it's the 3306, the longer stroke and all that. So you have more torque. So less horsepower, more torque than your 5.9 would have. But it would be cool. Maybe I'll get lucky or maybe if I work hard, you're right, in this economy, we might be able to pull it off. It's still on my brain, but I'm kind of thinking 12 valve. But the thing with the 12 valve is, it seems it takes more money to make the 12 valve have 400 horsepower than it does for a 24 valve to have 400 horsepower. 24 valve tuner injectors, some 40 horse injectors maybe, stuff. I mean, you could get 400 horse out of a 24 valve fairly easy, I believe, with minor modifications or some modifications. 12 valve, it's P pump and injectors, and I've worked on injection pumps many moons ago, but they were all Caterpillar. So I don't know nothing about the Cummins P pump, and so turning screws and things like that, that's kind of out of my, although there's probably information out there. But anyhow, so you're gonna have to do that to get the horsepower up on it, and then probably injectors, and then I don't know what the 12 valves were rated at back in the time when they were new. I know these were what, 200, 225, something like that. So I'm guessing the 12 valves were probably 180-ish horsepower range. So if you're going to try and push it to 400, you're going to be adding 20, another 220 horsepower. It's probably doable. I don't know. What do you think? Hit me in the comments and let me know. 24 valve, 12 valve, automatic or manual? I'm thinking manual, but unless I find a truck that has a manual in it that I can rob everything from, because it's an automatic truck, I'm going to have to buy all this stuff. And I think it's right at $4,500 to buy a kit that has everything you need to convert it. Good thing is it's only two-wheel drive, so, and that's kind of what it's going to be. The F-150 I got is a pile of junk. The cam phasers are going. The transmission does the slam shift thing up and down. Unfortunately, it's not in the 2012 to 2018 range where the recall is at for Ford on the 6R80 transmission. Even though mine transmission does the exact same thing that the recall ones do, I was left out of the group. So I'm looking for, because this is two-wheel drive, I figure I could get better fuel mileage out of it. The Ford fuel mileage with the EcoBoost is crap. I'm getting 18 now, finally, but I talked to so many guys that have the Coyote motor. They're getting 20, 22 from a V8, and mine is the EcoBoost. So, yeah, let me know. What do you think? 24 valve or 12 valve, or should I just sit on this thing until I win the lottery and then we'll put a 3306 in it and a 10-speed Eaton? That would be cool. I don't know. If we did that, why wouldn't we just put an 8.3 Cummins into it? Because the 8.3 is electronic. The 3306 has a fuel pump on it, or an injection pump. And yeah, that would be better, be mechanical. So the Cat would be the better way to go. I don't feel like electronics. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards the 12 valve, because the 12 valve is 3 wires. And there you go. The 24 valve, I'm going to have to have the PCM, and I don't think there's going to be much else to have to worry about on it. And it's still simpler than the 2016 I got as far as computers and all that doodad stuff. But yeah, hit me in the comments and let me know what you think. But this thing with Ford and GM wanting it to where we can't repair cars, I mean, this is just insanity. And that's just kind of, I see it. Like I said, in our business, we deal with a lot of manufacturers, and I see it. I've been seeing it for years. How they will force you out and make you buy it, basically. And I think somebody said something about cash for clunkers. They wanted to get rid of old cars to get you into new cars, and this might be a way to get you to do that. You know, we get it to where we can shut down somehow. It might be conspiracy theory stuff here, but you know, somehow force the aftermarket people out to where they're not making aftermarket parts for, say, that. And now you can't drive it because you need, you know, front end stuff, wheel bearings, drive shaft, transmission work, whatever. Just PCM. I mean, that. So they'll force you out and they'll make you buy it. And that's kind of where they want to go. And with them wanting it to where you can't repair your cars, now they're going to get rid of independent shops that work on cars. I'm not an independent shop, but I've spent many, many years working on cars in dealerships and other places. So I know the ins and outs of the dealers and all that stuff. And so that's kind of how it looks like they're trying to go, is make you to where you can't fix it. Now you got to take it to the dealership, and then you can trade it into the dealership, or the dealership will send it off to the scrapyard and get it crushed because, heaven forbid, it's around to where somebody else can get a hold of it, or the dealership will flip it for 8 times what it's worth to try and get you into something new. And then they'll lock you out of it like John Deere did to the farmers. I can't believe we're going through this. We had to go through it with John Deere, and now we've got to go through it with the auto manufacturers. It should have been an all-encompassing one thing. John Deere said, oh, you can't work on it. And the farmers went, well, it should have been looked at by the powers that be in, I don't know, Washington. They should have seen this and gone, oh, when are the automotive manufacturers going to try and do this? So I think that's kind of where they're wanting to go, and it's a money grab. You lock it out. You can't work on this. Now you got to go buy a new car. And for people like me that keep, I mean, my 2016's got 250,000 miles on it. The Ford's got 240. My wife's car has got 200. I got a little car that I drive once in a while. It's only got like 90, but it goes less than 3,000 miles a year. But it's older. It's 16 years old. So ideally, they kind of want to get rid of that because I can still work on it, sort of. It is a European car, so they're a little bit crazier. But yeah, I see, like I said, I've seen it in our industry with the manufacturers and how they're pushing stuff, and the big companies, the corporations keep buying up all the smaller stuff, and then there's no competition no more. That's what's going on in our industry. We got one company that they control 17 states. They're the only place you can get certain items from in 17 states. There's no other distributors. There's nobody else competing with them. You got to call them, only them, to get this part. So they can charge whatever they want, and they do. I bought a part from them. It was $20,000 for a piece of metal. It was kind of ridiculous, but because of the industry we're in, and because they're the only game in town, that's what they do. And it trickles down. I pay 20 grand for it. I mark it up a little bit because I got to make money on it, and for my time, and then I charge to put it in, and then it trickles down to their customers eventually. And it's kind of a sad way it goes, but that's how it is. But that's kind of what I'm seeing is a lot of these big manufacturers are pretty much buying up everything, or they do stuff to where they can get control and take it over to where you can't fix your truck. And I hope if the people in Washington are actually for the people, and supposed to be doing this, I don't know why they haven't started looking at these manufacturers that are buying up everything, food supplies. Our food is owned by what, 3 different companies? I mean, when you go to the grocery store, there's a couple different companies that pretty much produce and own everything. Either be through subsidiaries or whatever, the different name. It's a different name, but it's still owned by Nabisco, or owned by this one, or something like that. So they're slowly buying up all the competition, so they're the only game in town, and they can charge you whatever they want. And I kind of get the feeling that's what Ford and GM were pushing for when they're talking about getting this legislation, is excuse me, to get it to where you can't work on it. So they're the only game in town. You have to go to the dealerships, because that's why the dealership association or whatever was involved in this, because they're trying to drum up more business for the dealerships. So the guy that owns the dealership, he can be more of a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever he is, and he gets his new yacht and all that good stuff. And then he can set his price at whatever he wants. That's $180. Well, I ain't paying that. Well, good luck. And you have no choice to go anywhere else. There's nobody else that can work on it because we don't have access to the information or the tools or anything like that, or you can't get parts for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they came down and said, well, the only people we'll sell parts to is our dealers, and to where you can't even get them aftermarket by walking into the dealership and being like, hey, I need what the heck did I buy for that piece of junk Ford not long ago? I don't know, I bought something there for it, and then the blend door actuator. I bought that, so I really wouldn't be surprised if they made it to where you walk in and you go, I need a blend door. Well, you can't buy that. You're not a authorized dealer or distributor or whatever. And for that to actually happen, I mean, it's probably unlikely, but I wouldn't put it past them, honestly. But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because I saw that and I've seen a couple videos on it, people talking about that, and then getting rid of the older parts for cars to keep them running. I think they'll play it off as, we're trying to save the planet. emissions from, trucks like this or old cars, or when it was at Minnesota said you can't drive your classic car now unless it's on the weekend and you're going to a specific event or something like that. And it's like, what if I just want to drive it to work one day because it's 75 degrees out, beautiful and sunny, and I want to drive it to work one day and, kind of do that. No, you can't do that because it's not on the weekend and it's not a sanctioned event or something. So, but I think they're going to push that as being green, and we need to be more green. We need to get rid of these vehicles because they're killing the earth. Meanwhile, they build AI data centers with, I think that one down in Texas had 51 turbine generators. And I can't remember what they said. It was like 700 million tons. Was it 700 million or 70 million tons? It was a lot of tons of greenhouse gases that this would emit into the atmosphere. So that's one data center, one of these AI data centers. And they got them popping up all over the country with these turbine generators. And so you kind of look at that and go, so the Meta or whoever it is down there building this is getting to dump all this in the atmosphere, but my truck is bad. It's got to go. I got to go buy a brand new piece of junk with the 6.2 that might explode, or Ford with its endless recall problems. Stellantis, I don't even know what the heck's going on with Stellantis. But yeah, I mean, they're wanting to put you in all this stuff, and then they're wanting to get into that cycle of you buy new and throw it away. We've become a serious throwaway society. I don't, the 50s, 60s, glass bottle, milk with glass bottles and stuff like that they had so much better than plastic. And especially for the health. I mean, the what is it, the PTFE or whatever, the plastic little bits that get in your body that we're supposed to be full of now. So, yeah, they want you to keep your refrigerator, your dryer, your washer, they last a couple of years, they fail, die, go buy a new one because they discontinued parts already. So, I've seen this push, and you might have too, and they're kind of wanting to do that with the automotive side, it looks like, and by, not letting you work on it and discontinuing parts and all that stuff. What we really need is people to step up. Us people. I would try and do it. I've kind of thought about doing different things to where in my industry there's some parts that I need that I can't get because they're discontinued, and I'm actually getting with other manufacturers to see about having them make them for us, so we can still rebuild the stuff that we're rebuilding. And you got to kind of circumvent or sidestep or do something like that to get around it. And we're Americans. We need to, innovate and do like our grandparents did and just come up and make it happen. And the only way they can stop us is if they make a law that says you can't. So even if they don't want us to work on our cars, the newer stuff, because if they're going for it now, I guess the newer stuff with Bluetooth, where they're updating and everything, they could probably put some software in there on an update through your satellite to make it where now your 2019 or your 2020, you can't do anything to it no more without programming it or doing this or doing that. But these older ones, as far as parts, we just need to get, I ain't got the money to start something where I can make parts. And I wish I did. But yeah, the manufacturers that are the aftermarket parts people that do this stuff, I highly doubt they'll see my video, but y'all are needed. We need you to make aftermarket parts. Every part. We need PCMs, we need ECMs, we need all this stuff. And, especially now, because I think people are really gravitating towards the older vehicles. You can see it in the prices. I mean, you kind of look at what this stuff costs now for used vehicles, and it's up because there's a demand for it. And people really just don't want new ones. I don't. I mean, that 2016 I got, that's the last new one I got. That's why I got this one, because I don't want anything newer. I don't need them with cameras in them monitoring me and checking my face and then telling me I can't start the truck because whatever reason, it's hot out and I'm been working 12 hours and I'm ready to pass out from heat exhaustion, and I get in the truck and I'm just grumpy and ready to go home, and because my eyes don't fit what the AI BS is telling me, I can't start my truck and go to the hotel or come home. And I get it with the impaired drivers. I mean, I can understand that. I've known people that have been taken by impaired drivers, and they lost their life and the impaired driver lived. On how that happens, but that's how it goes apparently. So I can understand it, but honestly, I just think instead of the slap on the hand, they need really stiff penalties for people that are impaired drivers, and make it to where they actually have to do time or pay for what they've done. And even like your first offense, oh, you're drunk, okay, and I don't know what happens when you're drunk for the first time. I've never done that. I've kind of been like a responsible person, but having all computer controls, and then you never know what they're going to do with the data that they get from watching you every time you drive, everywhere you drive. Because you know how it is. You sign up, you buy something online, and you sign some waiver or whatever, and then next thing you know, your phone's blowing up from BS phone calls or my email. I get inundated with, what is it with all these? You buy something once, you go to someplace and you buy something once, and then it's like 6 times a day they email you. Hey, we got a sale. Hey, Joe went, he took a dumper this morning. Boy, he really blew the office up. I really don't care. Harbor Freight's kind of bad about that. They're constantly blowing me up 5-6 times a day. I bought some parts for this and they blow me up all the time. And there's a couple other places where you buy it and it's like, okay, and then daily they're hitting you with emails. So you go and you unsubscribe and it takes a couple days and maybe you get unsubscribed and maybe you don't. But yeah, I think that whole thing they did up there in DC with Ford and GM is ridiculous, and I hope they get shot down hard. I wish our politicians would actually stand up and grow a pair and see where this is going, but I'm kind of, it's unfortunate, and my theory is that the politicians are probably in the pockets of these people somehow. And then the dealerships, they want all the business. They don't want anybody else working on the stuff. They want you to go to them only. And because they gotta pay for their bills, but once you give them control of everything, the price is going to skyrocket, and they're going to charge you whatever you want. And if you can't afford it, go buy a bicycle. But yeah, so that's kind of my opinion. That's what I want to talk about on this. And I don't generally want to talk about this kind of stuff. I'd rather be talking about stuff on the truck or the cars or working on the cars or doing stuff like that. And this old girl needs a paint job. But yeah, I kind of looked at that and I thought, this is important and people need to know about this, because we ain't all millionaires. We're just blue collar trying to get to work, enjoy our weekend, enjoy our time off, and have a life outside of work, and not dedicate every hour to work and that kind of stuff. And so it just seems like they're trying to make it harder and harder for us out here in the trenches, trying to make a living and have a life. So yeah, like and subscribe, comment down below what you think about that whole GM Ford thing in DC. And yeah, you work on your own car, let me know. And y'all be safe out there, keep your head up. Hope you can buy some groceries. And y'all take care, and weekend's coming up. Enjoy your weekend. Get out there and have fun. See ya.